Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are joining us on templeshalom.com and on our YouTube channel as well. We're happy to see all of you with us. We are on page 29 in our Siddur. Almost near the bottom of the page. Ki ishmera Shabbat, because I watch over Shabbat. El yishmerini, God watches over me. Oti le'ol me'ad is a sign forever. Beino uveini, between God and me. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmerini. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmerini. Oti le'ol me'ad Beino uveini. Oti le'ol me'ad Beino uveini. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmerini. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmerini. Oti le'ol me'ad Beino uveini. Oti le'ol me'ad Beino uveini. If you'll turn back to page 120 in your Siddur, you'll find the blessings for our Shabbat candles. As with the light of the candles, we bring in the light of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. As we turn to page 130, we begin our Kabalat Shabbat, our welcoming of Shabbat. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, let us sing joyfully to God. Psalm number 95. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, litzur yishinu, nekadma fanav v'toda. Naria, naria, litzur yishinu, v'zmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. From Psalm 96 on page 131, the first couple of lines, we say, Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash, sing to God a new song. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, all the earth. We'll sing this song to God. We take those two lines in reverse order as the composer has given them to us. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, Shiru Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shiru Ladonai. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. We'll turn to page 132. 4 lines from the bottom of the page. Or Zarua la Tzadik, light is sown for the righteous. Ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, and for those who are straightforward of heart or good-hearted people, there will be Simcha. So if we are righteous, we will have light. If we are good people, we will have happiness. These are our prayers for the year to come, as we're only a little more than a week away from Rosh Hashanah, entering into a new year. May it be filled with light and happiness for all of us. Or Zarua la Tzadik, U Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua la Tzadik, U Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua la Tzadik, U Yishrei Lev Simcha, U Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua la Tzadik, U Yishrei Lev Simcha, U Yishrei Lev Simcha. Lai 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Or Zarua la Tzadik, U Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua la Tzadik, U Yishrei Lev Simcha. From Psalm 98 on page 133, we'll read together at the bottom of the page in English. A psalm, sing to Adonai a new song, for God has worked wonders. God's right hand, God's holy arm has won God victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth beheld the victory of our God. Raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. We sing one of those joyous songs of praise in Psalm 99. It's on page 135, the last 3 lines. Exalt Adonai our God as we bow down at God's holy mountain. For Adonai our God is holy. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu. The last 3 lines of the Hebrew on page 135. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. from Psalm 29 on page 136 and 137. We'll first read the words together in English, and then we'll sing the last two lines together in Hebrew. A psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders, Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Sirion like a young wild ox. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calve and strips forests bare. While in God's temple all say glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. Those two lines, Adonai owes them o yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Lai 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 Adonai oz le'amo yitain yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Adonai oz le'amo yitain yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Lai 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 As we've gone through 6 Psalms, making our way toward welcoming Shabbat, we come to Lecha Dodi, page 138 and 139, as we welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride. We'll sing verses 1 and 2 on page 138, verses 5 and 9 on page 139. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. 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 Shamor v'zamor b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'letchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nercha, ki mekor habracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Verse number 5. Hitoreri, kiva ore, kumi ori, uri, shidaberi, kivod Adonai alayit nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. We rise as we face the doors. We welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha uvtzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Before you're seated, we've welcomed in the Shabbat bride. We'll take a moment or two to welcome each other. Turn to the people in front of you, to the side of you, behind you, and wish everyone Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And for those of you joining us on TempleShalom.com and on the Temple Shalom YouTube page, Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well. Happy to have you with us this evening. And again, Shabbat Shalom to all of you here and to all who are joining us online. We are on page 140 in Mishkan Tefillah. Psalm 92, the Psalm of Shabbat that the Levites sang in the ancient temple as they welcomed in Shabbat. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, let us sing a song of Shabbat. Tov Lehodot Ladonai, it is good to give thanks to God. Uzamer L'Shivcha Elyon, and sing of God's name most high. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon. Lahagid Baboker Chastecha, Be'emunatcha Baleilot, Alei Asor Ve'aleina Ve'lalei Higayon Bechinor. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon. Ki simachtani Adonai b'fo'olecha, b'ma'asei yadecha aranim, ma gadlu ma'asecha Adonai me'od, amku machshivotecha. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon. Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulizamer L'Shimcha Elyon. We turn to page 144 as we make our way from our Kabalat Shabbat into our Mariv service, Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkada shemei rabba, belna divrach yirutev yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala, uv'izman karivim eru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach, le'alam ulam me'amaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, yitpa'ar v'yidroma v'yinaseh, v'yitadar, v'yidaleh, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudesha barichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shihirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, dam yihiron be'alma, v'yimeru, amen. We rise, we turn to page 146, as we invite ourselves to prayer with the words of Baruch Hu. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, HaMevorach, HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. We can all be seated. We give thanks for creation. We are a week and a couple of days away from welcoming in a new year, counting the years from creation. We'll read together on page 149, giving thanks for this idea of the passage of time and for the creation that created that time. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Page 148, 3 lines from the bottom of this prayer of Ma'ariv Aravim. El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu, Le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Praise to you, Adonai, the one who brings on the evening. As we turn to page 150, we give thanks for Torah. We are just a few weeks away from the end of the book of Deuteronomy in our reading cycle, which means that we are also just a few weeks away from the beginning of Genesis in our Torah reading cycle. Each year we renew the reading of Torah as we look deeper and deeper into its words, trying to find a new meaning. It's not a meaning that's new in the Torah, it's a meaning that's new to us, because maybe last year we weren't ready to understand that particular meaning. It's why we read Torah once every year, because each time we read it, we may find meaning that's new to us, lessons that are new to us. They've been there for millennia. But as we go through life and we change and we mature, we find those lessons as if they were brand new in the Torah. But they've just been waiting for us to find them. And so we give thanks for all of those lessons, each and every commandment, each and every law, each and every pathway, with the words of Ahavat Olam, page 150. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadita, Otanu limadita. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochvenu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nitzmach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hein v'chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nehege yomam ve'layla nehege yomam ve'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael ohev amo Yisrael. Praised are you, Adonai, who with the gift of your Torah loves your people Israel. Page 153, 152 and 153. We sing the words of Shema, Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God. Adonai is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Page 154, we continue with V'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlachtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvihisharecha leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzotai v'item kedoshim le'elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzeiti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lachem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. We read together page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorways of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. We read responsively on page 157, the middle of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then we shall rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Page 158, we rejoice with those words that were at the sea. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, the one who does wondrous things? Mi chamocha, 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, o seifele, o seifele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, o seifele, o seifele. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bo ki hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, ze Eli anu ve'omru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. V'ne'emar ki faradonat Yaakov u'golam chazak mimenu. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Baruch atah Adonai, praise to you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel, Go'al Yisrael. Page 160. We ask God to spread a shelter of peace over us and protect us through the night. As far as prayers go, it's our Jewish lullaby. Lie us down in peace. Cause us to rise up again to life. Protect us through the night from the things that might come toward us, enemy or illness or war, famine or sorrow or wrongdoing, and spread a shelter of peace over us. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu v'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu v'shalom, v'hamidinu shomreinu l'chayim. The three indented lines. Ushmor tzeitinu, uvoinu, l'chayim u'shalom, mitavi adolam. Laila, 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 laila. Lai 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 Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'hamidinu shomreinu v'chayim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'hamidinu shomreinu l'chayim, shomreinu l'chayim, shomreinu l'chayim, lai la lai 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 la lai, lai la lai 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 la lai, lai la lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai. Page 162. The people of Israel will keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat through all of the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign between me and the people of Israel, God said. For in 6 days Adonai made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day, Shabbat vayinafash, God ceased from everything, from all of the work, and refreshed God's soul. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. B'nei b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. U'v'yom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam b'rit olam. On page 165, we'll all rise as we'll join together in the Amidah. It begins on page 164 and 165. 164 in the Hebrew, 165 in the poetic renditions of the prayers. We'll make our way through the first three paragraphs together, and then when we finish with those, we'll take some time for our own silent prayer, making our way all the way to page 180 or 181 as you make your way, or the prayers that you find in your own heart. We'll join together now in the Amidah. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chaste Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'Nehem, Liman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechai HaKol Atah, Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechaye, Umatz Miach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah L'chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. We continue silently from 170 through 180 or 171 through 181. Please be seated when you're finished. Page 178, a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon Lechol hashalom, ki atahu melech Adon. Lechol hashalom, shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam V'tov Beinecha Livarech Et Amcha Yisrael Bechol Heit Uvechol Sha'a Bishlomecha Shalom Rab Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam Shalom Rab Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam Tasim Le'olam Tasim Le'olam. As we mentioned earlier, we're getting very near the end of the book of Deuteronomy. And as we come near there, we come to a Torah portion called Ki Tavo, chapter 26 through 29 in Deuteronomy, again, getting very, very close to the end. It talks about all sorts of last-minute instructions that Moses is giving to the Israelites on their way into what will become the land of Israel. And it's interesting how we're told to act in the land of Israel. I'll come to what Moses tells them in a minute in terms of holidays, but what he tells them kind of reminds me of my childhood. I used to go when I was a kid. I went to a camp called Camp Komaroff, named after the Komaroff family who donated the money to purchase the land for the camp. It was a Jewish camp in the San Bernardino Mountains in Southern California. It was located about not quite 1 mile away from a lake called Lake Arrowhead, just up the road. And on Friday nights, the tradition at camp was this. Everybody would dress in white. White shirts, white pants. If you had white tennis shoes, you'd wear those. If you brought white tennis shoes to camp, they were only white for the first weekend of Shabbat, because after that they were black, because they were covered in mud. But everybody dressed in white. And the song leader would grab their guitar, and they would start singing over where the senior staff lived. And the song leader would sing a Shabbat song, and 4 or 6 or 8 of the most senior staff in the camp would join with them. And they would walk a little bit over to the first cabin, and everybody would greet each other with Shabbat Shalom, and the first cabin of kids and their counselor would then get in line, like a little parade. And then they'd go to the second cabin and the third cabin, and there were hugs and kisses with all of your friends at camp, until finally the entire camp was in the parade, singing the Shabbat songs, and we would make our way across the camp and over to the amphitheater where we would have Friday night Shabbat services. And then we'd all get up together, and with the song leader leading us, all of us dressed in white, we'd march over this hill, because for some reason, the way the camp was designed, the dining room was over a long hill from where the rest of the camp was. I think that was so that we wouldn't go into the dining room and take food in between meals, but I'm not really sure. The camp closed decades ago. I visited, actually. I went to the campsite just a few years ago, and it's now, the front of the camp is now a storage area for equipment for a construction company, and they've got all kinds of tractors and all sorts of the other things there. But this marching with all of us dressed in white, this is what Moses described to the people as he talked to them about the pilgrimage to Jerusalem for Sukkot and Pesach and Shavuot. He talked about the idea of the bikurim, the first fruits, the gourds that we would have. We hang them just a couple of weeks from now. They'll be hanging in the sukkah. The first fruits of the season. of our agriculture. And the people would come from wherever they were, and they would go up to Jerusalem. You go up, if you've never been to Jerusalem, I can tell you, you go up to Jerusalem because it's on top of a hill. So you have to go up to Jerusalem. And as the people would go up the hills to Jerusalem, they would join in the procession, just like I did when I was a kid at camp. The first few people from the furthest lengths out, as they got closer and closer and closer, more people would join in. And there was much singing and there was much joy. Psalm 122 in the book of Psalms is a psalm of joy, and it talks about this time. In Psalm 122, it tells us right at the beginning, it says, when they arrived close to Jerusalem, they would send out messengers before them to inform the inhabitants of their arrival. And they would wreathe the first fruits and decorate them with ripe fruits on top. Then the leaders of Jerusalem would come to greet them. And when they had all entered the gates of Jerusalem, they would all begin to dance and to sing. And they would say, our feet are standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. From Psalm 122. A beautiful sight of all the people gathered together in joy. Our Torah portion tells us, you shall rejoice in all the good that God has given to you. Now imagine the scene. The people from far are coming closer to Jerusalem. More and more people are gathering together. They're all dressed up for the festival. They're all singing. They get up to Jerusalem. They announce to the leaders of Jerusalem and all the people that they're there. And the people of Jerusalem come and join them. And then everyone is singing and dancing. And what reminder do they get? They get a reminder that says, you should rejoice in all that God has given to you. They're singing and dancing joyfully. They need a reminder to be grateful and rejoice in all that God has given to you? And the answer is yes. They needed a reminder. Because on their way into Jerusalem, along the way they kind of forgot. They stubbed their toe on a rock and thought about their toe instead of being grateful. They saw that person who bugged them at last year's festival. And they thought about them instead of being grateful. They thought about that task back at their house outside Jerusalem that they didn't finish yet, and they focused on that instead of being grateful. If we could fast forward through time, they watched cable news and saw all the terrible things in the world and forgot to be grateful. They remembered the person who cut them off at the red light, and they forgot to be grateful. They thought about the person who screamed and yelled at them because they believed a different political perspective, and they forgot to be grateful. They complained about how expensive, grapes were, or hamburger was, or bread was, or I don't know what, because of the supply chain and all sorts of other economic things. And they forgot to be grateful. Near the end of our Torah portion this week, it tells us, you will be cursed because you do not serve God with gladness. You did not serve with God with joy. You did not serve God with gratitude. You did not come before God singing because you forgot to be joyful. We as humans, we tend to focus on the negative, right? It's very easy to because there's all kinds of negative around us. So I was in Israel a couple of years ago. There was a bombing in Israel. And all of my American friends said, are you okay? There was a bombing in Israel. I said, yes. I'm in Kiryat Shmona. The bombing was near Gaza. For those of you who don't know the distances there, that's like driving, it's basically like driving from Pueblo to Fort Collins. Something bad happened in Pueblo, you're in Fort Collins. Are you okay? Of course I'm okay. I'm nowhere near there. But did you know that where I am, People went to the movies today. Well, no, they didn't say that on the news. No, on the news, they only told you about the bad stuff. Because bomb exploded somewhere sells advertising. Shooting at I-25 in Bijou this morning, that's on the news because it sells advertising, right? Rabbi Jay went out to lunch today. That wasn't on the news. Did you all see that on the news? It's true, I did. I went out to lunch today. Wasn't on the news. My food was great. I had nice company at my lunch. No one put it on the news. But some unidentified person shot another unidentified person. That was on the news. We love to focus on the negative. The Queen of England died. And what did they show on the news? They showed the one guard that fell over because he passed out. They didn't show a lot of people who were going through and giving memories of being citizens of Great Britain. We focus on the negative. But the Torah tells us, serve God with gladness. Come before God with singing and with joy. And if we don't, we'll be cursed. We're 8 nights away from welcoming in the year 5783. In this year, the year to come, may we all be blessed with the ability to set aside the negative, to focus on the gratitude, to focus on the joy, to come in front of God dancing and singing. If we do, it's infectious. It's more infectious than the flu. It's more infectious than COVID-19. And believe me, both of those things are very, very infectious. This is more infectious. But unlike those, this is a good infection. So get your booster shot, get your flu shot, and then instead of spreading those because you've been vaccinated, don't get vaccinated against joy and happiness. Go and spread that everywhere that you can. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova. We turn in our Siddur to page 371. We take a moment to think of those who are in need of healing. We ask God to bring healing to Carrie Susser, Brian Zabel, Reuven ben Sipora, Moshe ben Avraham, Avraham ben Meir, Avram ben Odul, Ellen McIntosh, Susan Perry, Paltiela bat Mordechai Vavasha, Harriet Neal, John Sheck, Faye Green, Howard Chook, Cheryl Miller, Charney Oppenheim, Jessica Sidman, Yaakov Ben Baruch, Susan Sarachik, Yisraelit Bat Hilda, and Carol Miller. Do we have any other names of anyone that anyone else is thinking of in terms of prayers for healing? Thank you. Any others? Thank you. Any others? For all those we've named, and for all those who need together in the words of Misha Berach, a prayer for healing, page 371. Misha Berach Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imoteinu Mikor HaBracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing, with refuah shleima, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We turn to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotze bereshit, shelo asanu kogoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu noteh shamayim veyoser haaretz, umoshav yikaro bashamayim mima'al, ushchinatu zo begov meromim, hu Eloheinu einod, emet makinu efes zulato, kakatuv betorato, v'yadata hayom v'hashivota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, bashamayim mima'al, ve'al haaretz mitachat ein od. Page 590 in the middle. Ki hamalchut shelcha hi u'lemei timloch bechavod, kakatuv b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo echad. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves remain unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We turn in our Siddur to page 598 as we come to Kaddish Tom, the mourner's Kaddish. In our Kaddish this week, we recall the memories of Dorothy Arbitman, Elsie Katz, Herman Diamond, Judith Rosenthal, Max Black, Bella Zolat, Benjamin Wiener, Yudi Charnas, Jean Cook, Saul Waxman, Adam Sertain, Al Royne, Truman Warren, Belle Mogilner, Donald Johnson, Irving Edelman, Jeffrey Kahn, Leo Frazier, Mitch Goldberg, Sheldon Crone, Abraham Albion, Julie Pikus, and Sarah Kaufman. We are also in the middle of the period of Shiva for Joel Weiss. Are there any other yard sites that anyone is observing this week? Yehiyu Zichronam Levracha. May their memories be an eternal blessing. We join together in Kaddish Tom, as in their name and in their memory, we honor God's name. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ba'alma divrach kurute v'yamlich malchute, B'chaye chon uvyome chon uv'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uv'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach la'olam olamei almayim, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, Vitadar, vit'ale, vithalal, shemei, dukudisha, barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom bimramav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We can all be seated. Before we bring our service to a close, we will we'll share a couple of announcements. Tomorrow morning, we continue our Shabbat celebration as we read from Parashat Ki Tavo. Services start at 9:30, so please join us tomorrow morning. A week from Sunday, I'm going to tell myself it's not the calendar's wrong, but a week from Sunday is Erev Rosh Hashanah. It was like Pesach, like last week. How did it get to be Rosh Hashanah already? But a week from Sunday night is Erev Rosh Hashanah. Please make sure that you check your mail, etc., to make sure you have your tickets, to make sure you have all the information that you need. If you've been sent an honor, please make sure that you respond to the honor so that we have all of those set. That Sunday evening, 7 p.m. is when our service begins. And then again, Monday morning for the first morning of Rosh Hashanah. All kinds of wonderful things happening coming up here tomorrow night. We want to make sure that you're here with us at 7 p.m. for Slichot. Our Slichot services, we begin the penitentiary section, penitential prayers. I shouldn't say penitentiary. If you don't do your penitential prayers, we'll put you in the spiritual penitentiary. There, that's how it works right there. You go to spiritual jail if you don't say the proper prayers to lead you into the season of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, of asking for forgiveness, both from our community and from God. So tomorrow night, 7 p.m., we'll be changing the dressing of the Torah from our colorful mantles to the white ones. Please join us for that. Sunday morning, religious school at 9:30, and then our teen scene program at 12 o'clock, so you can join us for that. Please check the temple calendar for all of the dates and times for Rosh Hashanah, first day Rosh Hashanah, for Tashlich over at Sondheim Park, second day Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and all of the amazing stuff we have going on for Sukkot. There's some amazing things going on for Sukkot. Please double check and make sure if you have not signed up yet and gotten your King Super Card connected to Temple Shalom, or your Amazon Smile account connected to Temple Shalom, or your, what's that picture one called? Yeah, box tops for education. You can scan them now. You connect them. You connect your phone to Temple Shalom and your box tops you can scan for us. And then there's the one where I'm going to forget the name of it. The one where you can, you send in and they'll print your pictures and put, Shutterfly. That's the other one. Shutterfly. You put in Temple Shalom on Shutterfly. Temple Shalom makes money off of all those things, including, and if you don't know how to do those things, all you people that are with us online tonight, you're online, all those things happen online. So sign up for all that stuff and you earn a few dollars for Temple Shalom without it costing you anything at all. Again, check your temple calendar for all the dates for all the wonderful holiday events that are going on. We're going to end our service, if you will turn to page 631. On 631, there's some Hebrew, there's some English, there's even some Ladino. We're going to skip the Ladino and we're just going to sing the Hebrew. But these words say, "There's no one like you, O God. Blessed are you, O God." And 631, and this is an old Ashkenazi melody for these words. So you can, again, on page 631, skip the Ladino paragraphs and just stick with the Hebrew paragraphs on this one. Maybe another time we'll sing the version that has the Ladino part to it anyway as well. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Chadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshiach, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonai, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshiach, Atahu Shehiktiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha Eketoret Hasami. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. To those of you who are with us on TempleShalom.com and on our Temple Shalom YouTube page, we'll wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom and an Erev Tov. We'll see all of you later. For the rest of us, if you'll make your way to the back, we'll make a little Kiddush and Motzi, have a little Oneg Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Lai 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 lai